Today I'm going to be talking about supported decision making, and I just want to talk, this as we're talking about transition. Transition is obviously a process to where people are getting experiences, they're beginning to see themselves as adults, they're seeing themselves where they belong in the adult world. And there are specific things that happen in a typically developing transition. You think of it like age 16. What's the big marker that happens at 16? You get to drive. What's the big marker that happens at 18? Cigarettes, but other than that. What's that? Yeah, you are responsible. You're able to start making decisions for yourself as an adult. I'm going to go back to the 16-year-old thing, though. At 16, and we have so many psychologists in the room, I'm just curious, who says at 16 people should start driving? Okay, they're not really ready to do that. And we have a process of helping people to get that skill of driving. So at 18, are people ready? Is anybody ready at 18 to go into a doctor appointment and complex medical needs? They're not. And so what we need to think about as we think about decision making is that decision making is not a skill that you're born with. It's not a skill that you magically develop at age 18. And so when we think about supported decision making, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking before we get to any slides, but I just want to say something is that one of the fallacies that we hear and we experience is the idea that people either have capacity or they don't. And we see capacity for people with disabilities differently we see for any other population. For other populations, we say, is a person able to make this specific decision? But for oftentimes people with disabilities, it's reduced down to, does a person have capacity, period, or not? And so I just want to talk a little bit about some legislation that's taken place in California. And AB 1663 is one of the most important pieces of legislation, in my opinion, for people with disabilities, but not just actually people with disabilities, for people who are older, people with mental health issues. There's all kinds of people who really benefit from this legislation. And it was passed in 2022, took effect in 2023. So we've had some time to do it. But I will say this, legislation means nothing until it's acted on and until people actually begin to use it. And so I just want to talk a little bit about what this legislation does. It's a very, very broad set of changes to both the Welfare Institution Code as well as the actual legal code that exists. And so just I want to show real quick part of what 1663 says, which is that, first of all, one of the slides I should have put up here is that 1663 says something that's always been true, which is that everyone deserves the right to support in any environment, that the right to have someone present, the right to have someone to be able to be with you, to explain, to ask questions, to help you make decisions is something that 1663 formalizes within our legislative code. It also says that adults with disabilities are entitled to use the same types of legal kinds of opportunities and strategies as everyone else. And so that the use of these voluntary supports, and some of the things that is not on this slide, is voluntary supports would be things like HIPAA releases, so that people can ask for other people who they trust, people who are there to guide them, that they can have access to medical information and records. You can use an advanced directive is something we use in our clinic. And we typically think of advance directives as end-of-life, catastrophic injury kinds of things. But what does an advance directive actually do? An advance directive is there to say, when you lack capacity to make a decision, you have named someone to become your decision maker. And so with an advance directive, for people with disabilities, there may come a point, as I said, the capacity threshold, where an actual decision about a surgery may go past what a doctor says you have the capacity to make that decision. That may or may not be true. It's a judgment call on their side. But at the point that that decision is made, you have named a medical decision maker who you trust to be there. By the way, I am a medical decision maker for a friend of mine who I've worked with for 30 years. There was a situation to where we were preparing for a surgery. The doctor says, you're not going to be able to make this decision. So I turned to him and said, what do you want done? And he told me, and I said, we're going to do that. And again, because I knew that he had the capacity. The issue was not that he can't understand it, but that in that stressful environment, he's unable to speak the way that he typically is. He was actually having some difficulty understanding the conversation that the doctor was doing, the terminology. And so, it was a process of me being there as a supporter.
The UC Davis Mind Institute was founded in 1998 with the promise to reduce and prevent the disabilities that can be associated with autism and other neurodevelopmental conditions. Every day, our clinicians and researchers make progress on that promise. Our groundbreaking research on autism, Fragile X syndrome, chromosome 22q11.2 deletion syndrome, ADHD, and other conditions associated with disability are helping affected individuals achieve their fullest potential. Please visit our website or our social media platforms to find out more about current studies, upcoming events, and how you can help make a difference.